So I've been journaling, and I don't mean just over the past month because of the start of the new year, but I've been. Yeah, I've been journaling. This is the collection of journals that I've had over my lifetime. As you can see, this one is Mickey Mouse. I have two Lego themed journals for whatever reason, and even like this random little journal that had a lock on it from my Scholastic book fair in elementary school. But besides the point of all the colorful and fun I have with picking out books like that, that's not the point of why I journal. Part of the reason why I journal is because it's just for me. It's not for anyone else. It's not for the point of someone reading it in the future. It's not even for the point of myself reading it in the future. Part of the reason why I journal is for me, truly. I don't journal for the reason of someone creating a bibliography or an autobiography novel of me in the future. I don't even read it for myself to read in the future. I read it because journaling is also a journey in itself. And what do I write about when I journal? It's really simple. I just go with a simple reflection of my day. I sometimes start off with I woke up early this morning, I woke up late, and I just go through the points of what I did throughout the day. It's good to get all my thoughts out on a piece of paper like that. Part of the reason why I choose to write by hand with good old-fashioned pen and paper is because it like slows down my thoughts and it feels like I have a physical place to put all of them where I can just let them go at the end of the day. I do it at night, sometimes in the morning. There's nothing like sitting down to write on a good old-fashioned piece of paper. You can do an iPad, you can type on a laptop, but it just feels to have something physical that you can even look back at. The feeling of a piece of paper, you can't beat that. I don't really think about it that hard when I'm journaling. I'm not trying to create a story. I'm not trying to be grammatically correct. I'm just trying to write something out that happened in my day. I like to look back and see what I was doing throughout the day. I've been pretty consistent throughout the start of the new year. I've been journaling every day since the beginning of January. I write the dates at the start of my journal. I've been journaling every day since the start of the new year, but it's not always like that, if I have to admit. I do try to journal every day, but there are some large gaps in this. For example, I have one journal entry from October 3rd, 2024, and the next one after that was December 29th. A several month jump in between when I was journaling, and that's just what happens in life. You get busy, you lose the habit, but the feeling of coming back to it is always really satisfying. If you feel like you don't have the time to journal, then just start off with something small. Open up a random notebook that you have lying around. You don't have to go buy a new one. Just write a sentence, write a few words if you can, write down the date, write down one good thing, one bad thing that happened today. Just the feeling of writing something down and taking the time to sit down and be calm, I feel like is really therapeutic. In some of these old journals, I've written in pencil, but I stay pretty consistent to just a regular gel pen nowadays. My favorite is the Pentel Energel, the needle tip one, where ink comes out really smoothly at the tip. Can't beat that. I write with just regular text handwriting, but I have dedicated even a whole journal to writing in cursive to make my cursive a little bit better. But this was fun to write in cursive because the last time I seriously wrote in cursive might have been third grade. I still have the skill of being able to do it, but it's not like I really use it in the real world other than writing my signature down on a line. I think the main point with just starting off the journal, if you haven't done it before, you haven't picked it up in a long time, is to just not feel pressured with doing it. Even if you have just a piece of paper, a pencil, or a pen sitting around, it's just the point of sitting down and taking that time for yourself to just relax and write out your thoughts, whatever you feel like you're doing. It's good to be, some people have gratitude journals, some people have prayer journals, some people have journals that have questions in them to fill in. I even bought this one from a YouTube channel called Sprout. It's this guy right here. I like his videos where he does interviews. This one is a goal-setting journal that has a 365-day workbook for you to fill out all your goals and to make sure you fulfill all of them. It's fun to try out stuff like this, but I pretty consistently always come back to just my own thing where I have the freedom to write down whatever I want. Even I had struggles with journaling, with writing down all my thoughts on pen and paper. I came to this realization where I wasn't entirely sure if what I was writing down was genuine. I kind of was leaving out the sad bits, or maybe not necessarily the sad bits, but I had the feeling to make the day that I was writing out seem really happy and seem really perfect. And the reality is that life isn't like that. There's highs and lows. And I would read back a journal entry and I would remember pretty well what happened in that day based off what I wrote, but it may have left out something that upset me. But that's when I came to the idea that that's something I needed to work on, to be more cognizant in my own emotions in all facets that I'm kind of leaving out just for myself to write down. Not even the fear that someone else was going to read it, but just I didn't want to think about that actively. I was writing down. I had a fear that I would have been like 80 years old in my deathbed, or hopefully older than 80 years old, but I would have been old some age and gone back to a journal entry later in my life, and I had read something and I would read them and they would all sound happy, all sound pleasant, but then I would be sitting there in my future present life feeling as if I was like sad or depressed and thinking about why I lied to myself all that time about writing down something that wasn't true, like writing down a story that wasn't true to myself. And that's something that I had to think about if I was writing down the truth. Not that I was lying about what happened in the day, but that I wasn't including everything or leaving out some things. I mean, you can't fit a whole 12 or 15 hour day on just one sheet of paper. But the important things in the day I don't want to leave out on the page. And the truth is, it's an exercise. It's not easy. I've skipped some days. I had to go back and recall what I did 2 days ago. And sometimes that's fun. Sometimes that's stressful. You don't have to be so stringent with what you do, with what you write down. You can skip a day. You can skip a week if you want to. But I think overall, the whole process is really healthy. Another fear that I had, which makes me kind of want to journal now, everyone has a fear of, well, I wouldn't say everyone, but people have a fear of growing old and disease and dementia, and kind of my irrational plan maybe was that if I had some memory loss that I can just read back my life on a page and I'll be able to recall things that happened in that day. It's like when you look at a photo of yourself from years ago and you don't even remember that you were there. It feels kind of like that. This Mickey Mouse journal right here, if I go back to this page, this is from 2012. I was 8 years old when I wrote this, and reading this doesn't even feel like this is me, but it's my writing, just in some colorful pens, talking about what I was doing that day. And I think something like this is priceless to look at. Looking back at all these old journals just makes me realize how priceless and how sad I would be to lose something like this. It makes me think about all the people in the Palisades and Southern California, Altadena, Pasadena, within the fires that have lost their lives, lost their memories, lost family members with all the devastation of the fires, and how I would hate to lose something like this. I would definitely be quick to grab something like this if my apartment or my house was beginning to burn. A quote from John Mayer on his Instagram popped up. He said, "Just behind the immeasurable loss of life is the loss of proof of life," which just goes to show, like, people have the extravagant lives that they live living in those houses, but when it all burns down, they have nothing to show for it. And this is like proof of a life that I've lived if I'm writing it down on a sheet of paper. Not that if this disappeared, that doesn't mean that the life and memories I had would disappear, but it kind of feels like that in some way. Like, this kind of validates the things that I did and validates the type of person that I am writing it down on these pages. But at the same time, it's kind of good to not give it so much power. I'm sure that it would be really sad to lose all of this, but it's not like I look at these old journal entries from when I was 8 years old very often anyway. It's kind of liberating just to know that it's there, and that was an exercise, and that was something that I did that many years ago and still do it today. I'm not making this video because I think I'm better than you because I journal. But seriously, like I said before, it's supposed to be a therapeutic kind of exercise that feels good for you to write something down. Don't give it so much power. Don't give a little book of all your thoughts so much power. And if I were you, I wouldn't personally incriminate myself by writing it down on a piece of paper. But that's just me. I don't have anything incriminating to write down, but if I did, I certainly wouldn't write it down for someone to go find. To be honest, I don't know what you'll take for this if you clicked on this because you're wondering how you're going to start journaling in 2025, or if you journal already, or if you haven't done it in years. But I hope it was interesting to listen to my kind of story of how I think about it. My name is Lawrence. I hope you enjoyed this video. Start journaling, pick up a pencil, pick up a pen, pick up some paper, and see the journey that it'll take you on. And keep smiling. Bye.